Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Wednesday night. Tonight we are joined by Scott Murphy. He's bringing us a talk on freedom. So I look forward to hearing his talk in a few moments. First, I'd like to invite everyone for a short prayer before we begin. Thank you. Let us all take a moment to bring ourselves here. Let us forget all of the difficulties and challenges of the day and take a deep breath and focus on this moment. Let us embrace more peace and love. Let us be thankful for what we have. Let us ask for inspiration in our lives. Let us ask for guidance in times of difficulty. Let us help each other navigate this life through all of its ups and downs. Through all the lessons we learn. Let us embrace fraternity, friendship, kindness, generosity. Let us embrace these things as we move forward in our lives, continuously supporting and helping each other. Let us always remember our friends and family around us, our support, our mentors, always there, willing to help, as long as we are willing to put in the work. So with an open heart, with an open mind, with a feeling of peace and love, we welcome Scott to bring us a lesson for tonight. And we thank him. And so be it. Thank you. Without further ado, Scott Murphy.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. This evening we're going to talk about freedom in a way that allows you to move forward and progress. We're going to just get a lot of reminders on how a balanced life and how a focused life provides us a path that we all strive for and will eventually find. And we're going to do that by navigating our way into understanding freedom. So let's get started here. First, let's get a little snapshot. This is what freedom feels like. So this is where we're going. So freedom has its own requirements. It's spiritual in origin, right? And it's not limited to the things we're probably very familiar with that we should be focusing on and progressing through. Self-knowledge, for example, compassion, fraternity. Manny talked about some of this already. Charity, helping others, humility, indulgence, tolerance, resignation. It goes on and on. There's just a sampling of the components and requirements to help to understand what it is to be encapsulated in what we call freedom. So let's move into just starting at a high level, freedom is attained by conducting yourself in a loving manner, in a virtuous manner. So in a manner that can be measured. You can measure the efforts, the outputs, the thoughts, your thoughts, words, and actions, can be measured. They're demonstratable. And so knowing that all of this has to get encapsulated to really understand freedom, to feel, live, and engage what is freedom, we're going to have to pull from, the ideals and the passions and the loves that we know come from our hearts. That includes some of what's listed here: charity, tolerance, selflessness, indulgence, letting people be who they are, caring for all. So this is what we're going to be getting into today, and we're going to drill down and really provide a framework so that we understand, we are reminded about the mission of how we're going, the way we're going, and how to accomplish getting there. So let's keep going here. We're going to start by looking at the Spirit's book, and we're going to start with self-knowledge. This is under moral laws. Question 919 was asked, what is the most effective method for guaranteeing self-improvement? This is a great question. What is the way to get it done? What's the most effective method for guaranteeing self-improvement? Now, I want to separate this idea into two parts. So that's number one. Then it continues here, and, right, resisting wrongdoing. Resisting the attraction of wrongdoing. So two parts. How do we self-improve? How do we get better and stop doing what we shouldn't be doing? Interesting. And it's two words. The spirits from around the world reply, know thyself. We've heard this generation after generation. And so I'm just going to bring forward the reminders. And so this is what we're going to be talking about first. Self-knowledge, it continues providing the answer, is the key to individual improvement. And this particular body of spirits that are responding, they're even referencing their own life experiences. And it says here, and this is part of the book and part of the study, do what I myself used to do in my life on earth. At the end of the day, I would assess my conscience, review everything that I've done. How did my day go? Take an inventory, So let's continue, and it continues along the same thought and with continued response. As I would ask myself whether I had failed in some duty, throughout the day, whether someone might have a reason to complain about me. Okay? Interesting how this is. This is really putting the lens on yourself to find out what's happening. And it was then, this last part, it was thus that I arrived at knowing myself. So there's work to be done to uncover, okay, and seeing what was there, so that what was there in me that needed to be reformed. And that's the last part of this. So it's interesting that, knowing thyself, there's a few steps, there's a few situations that need to be analyzed, assessed, behavioral, emotional, mental, physical. All of these things need to be taken into account so that you can understand what's what. Who am I? Who are you? In fact, if I was to ask you, who are you? If I was to ask you, who are you? Something you're going to have to think about. And so it's important to know that knowing thyself does take a little work. So let's continue. Know thyself. This is the continued response before we finish this particular idea. So it drills down even further. If you review all of your actions of the day every evening, asking yourself, what have I done, good or bad? Take the inventory. What have I done? And then praying for enlightenment from God and your guardian angel. Now, this sounds like perfect instruction to me, and it should to you as well. Praying for enlightenment, asking for help, right, from God and your guardian angel. If you did this is what we're talking about here. This is instruction, the last part. You would acquire great strength for self-improvement because God would assist you. So there's a few things happening here in this instruction, and this is what we should take it as, because these are other spirits that lived here, that had experiences here, that learned through things, trials, challenges, people, places, and things. And this is authority. This is communication coming from experience. So consider it instruction. So I want to drill down a little bit on a couple things that's happening right here in this conclusion, this closure about this particular section here. It said you would acquire great strength. Why would I need great strength for self-improvement? Well, maybe it's a little harder than one might think. So if you have fear that you don't have the strength, the point here is the strength will be provided. The help will be provided so that you can bring forward. The courage will be provided so you can bring forward a means to self-improve. Then the last part, because God would assist you. And remember here earlier it talked about, pray for enlightenment from God and your guardian angel, your mentors. So, because God would assist you. So there's help waiting for you. So know thyself. Take steps to go forward. And particularly what we want to talk about is it's easy to understand what we do well. Like for me at work, for example, I know what I do well, I know what I excel at, and I find ways to continue to expand on that and take advantage of excelling and doing well at those things. What we're talking about here is that's easy to understand. That's easy to know parts of us that we excel at, to know thyself. It's the gaps. It's those areas where we don't want to face. And that's part of this, is standing up and being able to be truthful and faithful and in the face of yourself, to look at yourself, to understand the deficiencies, understand what you could improve. And so that's the work. But if you commit to the work and ask for help for the work, the help will come and the strength and the courage will also be provided. That's what we're talking about here, that it's not work you'll be doing by yourself. You'll have a team that will help you deliver in this regard. What is this then? We can call this personal quality control, right? So you're gonna check yourself, evaluate, your behaviors. You kind of see how you did, do an assessment, make some adjustments, continue, do some other things, and it's a full loop of quality control. So I thought that was cute to throw in here, kind of like what businesses do. We're developing a product or a service, they check it and double check it and triple check it and refine it and fix it and tweak it so that in the end it's a good quality product. And so in our case, we'd prefer, as we live our life, with quality, not quantity. So quality is what we're talking about here. So let's continue with Know Thyself. Chico Javier, a world-renowned medium. In terms of changes, the spiritual mentors teach me that I must not forget those relating primarily to improve myself. So all ages, all generations, we're going to find out, understand this concept, have been able to connect with it, have been able to prove it out. So I want you to consider this as instruction so that we can learn how to move forward. In the case we're trying to wrap this around today is freedom. And we're going to find out what are those components, what are those attributes and love characteristics and qualities that makes up the ability to live free. Let's keep going. Socrates, before Christ, employ your time in improving yourself. To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. He even goes on, an unexamined life is not worth living. So, again, different generations, hundreds of years, thousands of years ago, last week, a few decades ago, there's teachings, instruction, and I'm here collecting some of this just as a reminder so that we can make the steps forward. Let's keep going. Know thyself, St. Augustine, several hundred years after Christ's death. Know thyself. This is one of the key ways of navigating life in a clear and consistent manner. Clear and consistent manner means we know we're progressing. Interesting how they use the terminology here. A man has within him the capacity to be transformed according to divine nature. So not only can you change, there's a spiritual connection that will assist you. If you're going to read between the lines here in this instruction. Capacity to be transformed according to the divine nature. So, I think we're getting the idea here that knowing who we are and knowing where we need to work on ourselves and improve is key. It's one of the fundamental keys to allowing the other parts and things in our life to continue to progress with it. So simply from being honest with yourself, you have to be able to take a look at yourself honestly. Take action to know yourself. Do the steps, do the work, get the help. And in starting the reform, you're going to start to feel, you get a taste of this freedom. Okay, let's move on to some other characteristics that we're going to need to utilize to really understand and find freedom in our lives. Fraternity is one of those characteristics. The good person is always good, humane, and benevolent with everyone, without distinction to race or creed, because they see all people equally. They see all men and women as brothers and sisters. Amazing. That's what it is. It's it's like brotherly love in the family. So let's talk about this fraternity and in the definition that we give it here. A relationship between brothers is brotherhood, fellowship, kinship. Relationship. The way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected. So the way in which people are connected. But let's take a look at the last part of this definition. The state of being connected. The state of being connected. So you're not talking about you have to, be husband and wife or father and son. There's a state that's not physical we're talking about here. We're talking about emotional, mental, spiritual connectivity. So this fraternity, this fraternal connection is real and necessary and based on instruction required. It's our duty to understand how to treat all people equally. Let's keep going. Fraternity, Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. Sometimes that's difficult, depending on who your neighbor is. And we get that. But let's jump just for a second to the law of love. And there's a question in there from the gospel. What is the limit with regard to your neighbor? Is it your family, your nation, your city, your state, the country club? The 3 houses on the end of the block? We know that's not what it is. We know that the answer comes, no, it is nothing less than the whole humanity. So the law of love and the tie to fraternity is all peoples of all nations, everyone. And that is what we're going to keep talking about just for a couple more seconds here. So, love one another. Back to the law of love. Love is a divine essence, and everyone, from the most humble to the most elevated, has a spark of sacred fire in the bottom of their hearts. So we all come from the same Creator. We all come and are built and designed with the same attributes, components, elements, periodic table, all of these things. And so the energy of love, the spark, the sacred fire exists within all of us. And maybe it's been dormant for some. Maybe it's dreadfully dormant for others. But it can be woken up. It can be expanded. It can be grown, and it can become alive throughout your whole being and through your process, your thoughts, and your words, and your actions. And this is what we're talking about, that you can't say, oh, because it wouldn't happen to me because. This is not part of the formula. You have the recipe. You're built from the recipe. The tools exist. And we'll need to take our steps. And through fraternity, it's a big deal. Because this is where, equality for all people, and all peoples of all nations. One day we'll see each other as equals. We're not there yet, but we need to do our individual part. Here's some other things that we talk about. We can't move forward until we follow the instruction, attack the plan, move forward with the plan, steps forward to progress. Here, the soul cannot elevate itself to high spiritual realms except by devotion, except by love for one's fellow creatures, except for the devotion to others. This is amazing. Let me read this again, and I'm going to change some of the words. The soul cannot elevate itself to high spiritual realms except by devoting yourself to others. This is the instruction. This is the Gospel, chapter 13. Amazing. So we have work to do. We all have work to do. It's not easy to, be open to strangers and all these different things. But it's something we have to strive for. It's something we have to get out of our comfort zone. And we have to try. With the courage that will come and the strength that will come, we'll be able to accomplish what we're set out to do. So we can't be lazy or fearful. We know the mission. We have the instruction. It's time to move forward. It continues here talking about the soul. It will not find happiness and consolation except in charitable impulses. Charitable impulses helping others. And it's helping others grow, helping others with situations, helping others be fraternal, helping others love one another as you're loving them and helping them. Compassion, indulgence, tolerance, all of this are divine qualities of love, and all of this is necessary. So we're going to find those things that are deficient in us, that aren't so perfect. And these are the ones we can work on so that we can kind of get the next steps forward in our life, so that we can understand the power of freedom that we'll have at that point. And let's follow up. Lastly, we want to have a reminder that love is also to be in harmony and peace with others. Okay? Let's take a couple other examples. Cooperation, participation, maintaining compassion, tolerance, and acceptance all along the way. And without complaining. And so that's where the power comes, that we're doing it because it's necessary. Because knowing that I can be lifted up, that I can grow when I help you grow. And so that's what we're talking about here. These are the components that we need to understand in our own personal bubble. Where am I? And what do I need to do next to take even a small step? Remember, it's easy to know what we're doing well. But if you see something you want to fix, something you want to improve, take a small step. Make it be a small little win. A win is a win. A win is progress. So we will make mistakes. We understand we can make mistakes. So let's be okay with that, right? It's okay to fail. It's okay to get back up and continue and try again. So these are the kind of things that we're going to be getting into tonight, that understand what it is, take a baby step, maybe next time we can go a little further, and understand that these are the attributes that are required. You can go slowly and take a long time to get there, or you can go a little faster and get there sooner. So we would like you to get there sooner, because as you get there, we can all get there as well. Remember, we're all in this together. All right, let's keep going. Just a little break here. Why are we doing all this? Why are we talking about all this? Just a reminder, freedom. This is what you're going to feel like when you get there. Even partially get there, building and progressing to be there. Freedom, this bubble of freedom. It's amazing when you start to understand what we're talking about. And we'll continue to progress into this model. All right, so let's take just a quick second here to talk about how social life has an impact on growth, for example. So social life is the foundation for growth. Why? How could that be? Well, social life, this is from the book Heaven and Hell. Social life is the touchstone that reveals the good or bad qualities of a spirit. Oh boy. Right, so social life. This is how you know who you are. This is how you learn who you are. This is how others learn who you are. This is how you learn how others are. So let's look. Good, bad, and indifferent. It's all across the scale. We are on a planet of trial and expiation. We are here because we fit into this model, every one of us. Okay, we can admit that. Some are more elevated than others with our own personal growth. We all have our own level of personal growth and evolution. And it covers all of these things. Violence, gentleness, kindness, sincerity, treachery, selfishness, generosity. All of this exists in our world. It does. Some of these things all exist within us. We have, anger, and we can have gentleness. But why can't we always be more gentle? So again, things we need to work on. So there's a contrast happening here. The social life will draw out who you are. The social life and the social interaction with your brothers and sisters around this planet, whether it's at home, at work, the neighbor, the store, doesn't matter. The social interaction with others will draw out who you are. And that's where you're going to also be able to know thyself, to understand and learn those elements that aren't so much on the good, aren't so much of the light. Let's keep going. In this, all that constitute human goodness and badness find their aim, their motive, their aim and stimulus in the relations of each human being with his or her fellows. Just what I talked about in more plain sense is it's going to come out by your natural interaction with each other. And that's what happens. So as part of your self-knowledge, you'll learn those from your daily life, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. Let's talk about one other thing. So if you didn't have social life, say you didn't interact with anyone, how would you be? You wouldn't have any vices, you wouldn't have any virtues, you wouldn't be able to know thyself because you have no one to interact with to bring out your emotional, mental, physical, intellectual properties, characteristics, behaviors, energies. So you couldn't be evil because there would be nothing to do, but you couldn't fill the world with goodness either. And that's a problem. So say you did that. And you go back and say you did that, you lived to 95 years old, and you passed away, and you checked in. Hey, how'd it go? Oh, I didn't hurt anyone. Well, so what'd you do? It's not about what you didn't do. It's as much about what you did good, what you did well in the light, in the good, in the love that you put out. So if you didn't do anything, that's not good. So it can't only be sustaining from evil or things that are not of the light. It's about extending the love, extending the good to others. Here what we're talking about is the different components that comprise how you get yourself to be free, freedom, and the feeling of what that is, truly. So it's important to know you have to act, you have to interact, because that's the design. So let's keep going. The contrast of the good and bad from the social interaction is the opportunity. It's the opportunity to teach us so we can contemplate, we can learn to make good decisions. Hopefully we're learning to make good decisions, or maybe we're not moving forward as fast as we'd like, but we can learn from this. So let's learn and work to make the good decisions so that we can grow in the good. Okay, let's continue. Let's step into compassion, another divine quality. Compassion, this is from the gospel. Compassion is the virtue which draws you closer to the angels. It's the sister to charity, which also conducts you to God. The sister to charity. So that already tells us this is extremely important. And we know what this is, but let's continue. The most appropriate sentiment for making mankind progress. So compassion is one of the most appropriate sentiments for our progress. Learning compassion. And it continues here, so I'm just breaking it down. And how does it do that? It does that by dominating over selfishness and pride. So it completely annihilates selfishness and pride. That's what compassion does. And it also, we're continuing here, predisposes the soul towards humility, benevolence, and loving one another. Beneficence. Humility, beneficence, and loving one another. So by being compassionate, we broke down the biggest obstacles in our life, selfishness and pride, and we built up some divine qualities of love, humility, beneficence, and loving one another, which is one of the two main precepts, period, by being compassionate. Caring for the suffering of others, helping in the suffering of others. Even if it's a little bit, helping others, loving one another is helping others. Charity is helping others. There's a full circle here, and we're starting to understand what it is. But let's continue with compassion. We're going to add charity into the mix. True charity is always gentle and compassionate, and often go hand in hand, because the manner of practicing kindness is as important as the task and the deed itself that you're doing. So do it gracefully. And this is also from the Spirit's book. It talks about a little bit further than just doing and acting in this way, being gentle with your charity. But a service, when gracefully rendered, has twice the merit. So when you're honest and sincere and you're loving in this activity, in this action, and you don't complain, you do it because you know you need to. Somebody needs help, for example, or you send out this love to assist with someone that's in suffering through prayer or what have you, whether it's mental, emotional, physical help. All of that matters. All of it is equally important. A service, when gracefully rendered, has twice the merit. Amazing how the instruction comes forward. And the reminders here tonight is, as simple as it is, the benefit doing it is far outweighs the simplicity of caring for someone, loving someone, helping someone. So something as simple as always trying to be helpful can turn into 100 times of help that I get, because it's so powerful that you would extend your own interests to do that for someone else, only for them, or the group, or whatever it may be. Amazing. Okay, so let's keep going. We're going to kind of connect love again. And these are the two precepts that I want to kind of just do the reminder. Love one another and do unto others that we wish that they would do unto us. And it says here, this is from the gospel, they make a note, all that is moral is contained in these two precepts. So let's go a little bit further and let's kind of make a jump to and a connection to the law of love. And it kind of rewords this and kind of states it in a different way. Do not unto others that you wish not done unto you. And then they continue. On the contrary, not just that. Do unto others all the good that is within your power to do. Do unto others all the good that is within your power to do. Can't get any simpler than that. This is your duty. This is your calling, that we're here to progress. We're here to help others progress. We're here to make sure that we can understand love and we can take steps in love and help others get exposed to love. And we do it from ourselves. And we can only change ourselves. But as we do it, we get exposed to others seeing us doing it. And then others are going to join in. So that the fact here, do unto others all the good that is within your power to do. It's a duty. It's a duty to do this. This is your requirement as an incarnated being to affect this action. I want to also say that if there is, in other readings you can find this, if there's an opportunity for you to help or assist and you did not, that's a demerit. That's you've stepped yourself backwards again. So it's not just doing; it's the lack of doing that you need to look out for too. Because when you can help, you should help. And again, don't be fearful. I don't have the courage, or I don't have the strength. It's something that you should do, and the courage and the strength, I guarantee you, will be present because you'll be getting the help because you're taking the steps forward to help others. Amazing. Okay, let's keep going here. A couple more steps on the same topic. The dialogue continues in the same section here. If these two precepts, love one another and do unto others, or do the best you can do, always help others, let's just simplify it, were observed in this world, then everyone would be happy. Everyone would be happy. And there would be no more hate or resentment. This is just so much power. There would be no more hate or resentment. I just want you to take that in for a minute. Okay? Everyone. If these were observed and everyone understood, and when we get to loving one another and doing to others and reciprocating, we're all happy. And they just keep going to drill down so we can really understand this, what the impact it can be on our own world. I go even further, and these are actually quotes from the book. This is the direct text. There's no changing here what I'm presenting. I go even further. There would be no more poverty. No more poverty, because all of the poor people would be fed from the superfluity of the rich. There'd be enough to go around, and would all go around. And then the excessive wealth piling up, doing nothing, just getting bigger from investments and beating each other in business. It's the opposite of what we're doing. We're sharing. And poverty would be gone. So do your part. Let's take one last step with this same idea here. Love one another and do unto others. These two precepts. I mentioned earlier that every generation, 100 years, thousands years, hundreds of years before Christ, after Christ, last week, last decade. Here's Spirit, 1861. Consider it instruction. Read it like this, instruction. I'm going to say it and then we'll kind of loop back around. Believe me when I tell you to love one another. and make the sublime effort that I ask of you. This sounds like Jesus. Believe me when I tell you. Then you will soon see the earth transformed into a paradise where the souls of the just may come for repose. Believe me when I tell you. Look how the act of communicating this out. This is from authority. This is from experience. This, like Jesus, truly, verily, when I say to you, this is what it is. This here is the truth. I know what I'm talking about. This is why I'm using this word today. Consider this instruction, something we can't forget. This is just another example of we have the cycles of communications coming over and over in different ways from hundreds and thousands of years. Here we are. We're seeing progress. As slow as it may be, it's progress. And it's time for us to continue with these reminders of how we can apply them in our own lives. And how we're talking today is getting to this bliss of freedom. So let's keep going. All right. Back to compassion and charity. When people are overwhelmed by feelings of charity and kindness for all, they do good for the sake of doing good, not looking for a reward. They even sacrifice their own interests. And that's huge. So that's when you know you're sincere, right? When you don't want anything in return, and maybe you had to give up something. Huge, absolutely huge. You know your heart is shining with sacred fire. Unbelievable. This is how you can measure, wow, what I'm doing well. You can feel that. You don't feel the same things when you missed it, right? So find the ones you missed and build it up. This is one of those. When you start doing it over and over again, it's easier, and the fulfillment gets more and more heightened. It's amazing energy. They treat others with kindness and compassion as equals before God, right? There's a fraternity, brothers and sisters component here. They use authority to elevate them morally rather than crushing them with their pride. Think about it, right? Our world is mixed, right? Half good, half not so good, everywhere in between. Both extremes, everywhere in between. Maybe call it 51-49 good. Maybe we're at 55 good at this point. But look at business. Business out there, I'm going to crush him, and the competition and the things that they do with their businesses and their money and their political, just unbelievable how we attack instead of collaborate. It's just amazing. The signs that exist in telling us what not to do. And you might think you can't have an effect on that, but you can based on how you vote. You can based on how you communicate, how you interact with people in your town, your city, your state, your mayor. All of these things matter. That one phone call could be that one phone call that changed something. So don't think that your small little grain of sand can't make an impact. We have to do this individually to become a whole. All the people on the planet won't raise up until we all are raising up. I can't go without you. So I need to help you in all the ways and the characteristics of love that I know, that I'm learning and I'm applying and I'm decent at while I'm working on the other ones, so that I can help you raise up, so I can raise up, so we can raise up. Okay, let's get to the punch here. A little bit about, more about what is this freedom, man? How does this apply to me? All of this stuff. I have to care, I have to live, I have to do, I have to check and repeat, adjust, fix, adjust, and repeat. What is freedom? Let's do a little quiz here. Loving one another, is that freedom? Sure. Being fraternal with others? Sure. How about knowing yourself? Does that give you some freedom? Absolutely. Being compassionate? Absolutely again. It's necessary to understand that there's a package of I keep using this, the characteristics of love, the qualities of love. And there's, we've talked about this a few times tonight. Those are the things that, if you miss a few, you'll find out those deficiencies. You're a good person when you're always good, but if you have this other thing, you're almost good. So know that the other thing's holding you back. Don't have fear to address it. Don't have fear to look at it. So we're talking about removing fear. When we're talking about freedom, this is what we're talking about. True happiness, joy, spirituality. It's a spiritual thing, but it's real happiness, true happiness. You're free to be yourself, for others to be yourself, free of judgment, fear, stress, anxiety, free to look at your own self. Unbelievable. Freedom is this. Freedom of fear, so you can change the things you want to change, so you can evolve, be the best you without thinking you cannot do it. You don't have to worry about failing. You don't have to, be free. Okay? Be free to accept the truth in yourself and in others. Indulgence, let them be. They are who they are. Free to fail, free to learn, free to try again. This is freedom. Free to advance. You need to work for your happiness, because when you finish working for your happiness and you get to a point of freedom, it's not work anymore. I'm going to say that one more time. When you work for your happiness now and you get to a point where you have freedom, it's not work anymore. Freedom is a byproduct of love and all its divine qualities. This is where we're going. This is the feeling you're going to connect with. This is who you're going to become sooner or later. We all want to do it sooner because we all live here and are required to do it together. Freedom. Rajneesh, true freedom is always spiritual. It has something to do with your innermost being. It cannot be chained, handcuffed, or put into jail. Cannot. Freedom. Take your steps forward. Be the change in this world. Be the change you want. Be the change you want to see. It's your time. Thank you. Thank you so much.